welcome everybody to Live from My Drum Room. And it's an absolute pleasure and an honor to welcome my guest today, who's a very dear friend and one of my absolute favorite drummers on the planet and fabulous musician and human being. The great Ricky Fataar is with me today.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Ricky. It's great to see you.
We're streaming, are we?
We're streaming. We're streaming at the top of our lungs.
There you go.
I have to tell you before I forget that Stanley Sheldon is watching, and he wanted me to tell you that he's watching.
Oh, my goodness. In Ohio. Stanley.
Yes. Good old Stanley, huh?
Yeah.
Man. And, okay, so there's a few people watching, and I'm not going to get thrown off track here, but I have to make mention. Okay. Our dear friend Eddie Taduri is also watching.
Oh, my goodness.
And I will say hi. Yeah, you're saying hi right now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, he can hear, but he can't respond.
He can see, and he can type something. Okay. And I got to tell you, I'm just about done with Eddie's book. I don't know if you've read his book, but it's fantastic. It's a digital book, and I'll send you the link for it.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to read it.
Yeah, and there's a whole chapter about him playing with the Beach Boys and with you, and
right.
In typical Eddie fashion, there's some hilarious moments where it's Eddie telling the story, so it's really funny at times.
Okay.
Most of the time.
All right, that'd be great.
Anyway, welcome, Ricky. It's great to see you.
Good to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's jump in. So I have so many questions. I've known you for so long, and I probably never got around to asking you some of the questions or some of the things that we'll talk about today. And I guess my first question would be, how old were you when you started playing drums? And that's one of those questions I hate asking people because they probably get asked all the time, but I'm very curious to know.
Well, I started playing when I was 9 years old. My brothers had a little group, and they had a drummer, and they all worked during the day. They had day jobs, and then I guess at a certain point, the drummer kind of got fed up with working all day, then like playing all night. And my brothers were like over the top enthusiastic, so the drummer stopped turning up. So they just taught me the basics, and so I just started playing with them at age 9. And then, by age 10, we were like doing gigs. So it's like forever ago.
Yeah.
60 years on. Yeah.
And was this the beginning of the Flames, or was it already the Flames at that point? And
it wasn't really the Flames at that point. It was just the Fataar brothers,
Fataar brothers, yeah.
But at some point, somebody came up with the name The Flames.
I see.
Which was very unoriginal.
It's a great name, though.
It was a name, yeah.
For the 60s, it's perfect, too, Yeah. I mean, yeah. Because we were talking earlier before we were on the air about those old records, and just by doing the math, I mean, you were so young playing in that band. I mean, 15 or something, 14, 15?
Yeah, I mean, well, as I say, I started playing when I was 9, and then we started playing locally when I was 10, and I think I was 12 when we made our first record up in Johannesburg. And so it was like, at that point, we were just like, playing all over the country, driving around like fools, but having a great old time,
I'll bet. Yeah. And your two brothers were older. You were the younger. Yeah. So
my oldest brother was, I think, 10 years older, and then my second oldest brother was 7 years older than me. Yeah.
Oh, quite a bit younger then. Yeah. So they must have been like great, mentors too, as well, just in terms of like taking you under their wing, so to speak.
Absolutely. It was great to have two older brothers to kind of, show you the ropes, so to speak. And also just to get turned on to a whole lot of, music, so it was, great to have, just great to have them be my mentors.
Yeah. What were you listening to as far as, I'm guessing at that young age, you were probably more influenced by maybe your brothers, like what the music they were playing
Yeah,
versus
I
like a
mean,
drummer from that
yeah,
time.
they were listening to, Elvis Presley, the Everly Brothers, all of that kind of stuff. And that's the stuff we were playing. And also like surf music, like the Ventures and, the Shadows, a band out of England. We were,
Yeah.
like learning all those kind of tunes,
Yeah.
playing them at the local community center and that sort of thing at dances. But after I started playing for a little while, I mean, I got way into the whole jazz thing in the 60s and the Impulse records and Blue Note records. And yeah, I was, crazy about Alvin Jones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard that, I was just a goner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That makes sense
I
because,
liked all the, I mean, I liked all the other stuff also, but the stuff that I was totally crazy about was all the jazz music coming out in the early 60s. Yeah.
yeah. And you never took lessons. You were self-taught pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I would have if there was anybody around, but there wasn't really. I mean, I learned stuff from seeing other drummers playing around. Uh, and we didn't have YouTube. And so I just would learn stuff off the records and try and emulate that as best I could.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, there wasn't anybody who was teaching. So never got to do that.
Did you, I mean, when you're young like that too, I'm guessing you weren't thinking about like feel and things like that are, we know now it's so important. And it's just, to me, you have such a natural feel. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously I try to emulate the records like the Stax records and
Yeah. Okay.
all that kind of stuff. And then we played a lot. And I mean, we played a lot of dances. And you can tell when people were really dancing, it was when you were in the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think a lot of feel comes from actually seeing how people respond and knowing, just playing a lot, I think.
Sure. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't you say too, though, that there's something about, just having a natural, just having a naturally good feel. I think you're one of those guys that like Ringo or talking about Jeff Porcaro earlier, like just have this incredible, and it's interesting you say the Stax records. Two things. I almost wore my Stax t-shirt today.
Uh,
But listening to like some of the stuff you did with Bonnie, I hear like some Al Jackson influences at times.
oh, totally. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
not crazy for him. I mean, we played a lot of soul music, Otis Redding stuff, you know, you know,
Yeah.
just anything that we liked, we just learned it and played it. It was just like that.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, Al Jackson was so great, and it's still so great to hear that stuff.
it sure is. I'll just skip ahead. There's a part in Not the Only One, the Bonnie Raitt song, Not the Only One, where
Oh,
you're going into the B section. I'm really ahead. This was going to be, I made a note to talk about this later, but since we're talking about Al Jackson and listening
okay,
to it recently, the part where you go into the B section of the verse where you're playing like a tom-tom hit with the snare, um,
okay,
I can play it for you if you want.
sure. I mean, yeah, to jog my memory, yeah,
It
absolutely.
it reminds me of Al Jackson, and just recently it
Oh,
really sort of resonated with me that I thought, I'll bet he was. I mean, he would have had to have been, he's an influence on all of us of a certain, age and generation. So, um,
mm,
let me play the tune real quick,
okay,
and we don't
yeah,
have to
trying
listen
to
to the
remember.
whole song, although I can listen to the
Oh
song a
yeah,
hundred times. Everybody watching at home, this is Not the Only One, Bonnie Raitt, Luck of the Draw record.
I was in a daze, moving in the wrong direction, feeling that I'd always be
Okay, this part coming up here, Ricky.
One chance at a venture, see what it can signify. The slightest
Is that like a little tom-tom hit you're doing there?
Yeah, I think I was playing the tom, and I think we might have exaggerated by overdubbing it again.
I see.
So make it a little broader.
Yeah, yep. Okay. We'll play a little bit more.
couldn't stop my heart from turning out my love for you. So I was in a daze, moving in the wrong direction, feeling that I'd always be the lonely one. Then I saw your face on the edge of my horizon, whispering that I wasn't the only one, not the lonely one. True love of perfection,
Yep.
it seems like it's overdue. Then just when you least expect it, it comes sneaking up on you. When I thought that I was dreaming, felt your body close to mine. Now love takes on a different meaning, together till the end of time. I was in a daze, moving in the wrong direction, feeling that I'd always be the lonely one. When I saw your face through ever my confusion, whispering that I was not the only one.
What a song.
Yeah, beautiful.
What a song. Ricky, man.
Yeah,
Ah.
I just realized that at the beginning, I think that was the pure Motown, Phil, wasn't that?
Yeah. Doom, da-da-da. Yeah. Yep. It was. Nothing wrong with that, though.
No, nothing wrong with that at all.
I have to tell you, Joe Vitale, also one of my heroes and
Oh, I
good
love
friends,
Joe.
is watching. Yeah. Boy, who doesn't love Joe?
Yeah.
He says, Ricky, Soulful Cat, the best.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah. Joe's a returning champion on my show. He's been on many
Oh, okay.
times, and he'll be back too.
Oh my
uh,
God.
But yeah, so that I hear, like, as we were just talking about Al Jackson and those, but in, not obviously in a copying way, but just as an influence, to just sort of an homage to him.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. The spacing.
I mean, with Bonnie's records, I mean, and especially in those early records, it was just, we'd hear the tune and the demo of it on a boombox in the studio, and then just go out and play it. And I mean, as long as it was a good vocal take, that was it,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that could be like the first take or like take 2 or 3. It was never like this. I mean, of course, we'd run through it before we started taking, but
Right.
it was usually like within the first couple of takes we had it.
Wow.
So there's a lot of songs where I go, damn, I wish we had another shot at that one.
Well, I've seen you a number of times, and I feel like you're one of these guys you're so humble. I remember one of the more recent times at Fenway Park, you said to me afterward, you said, well, it was an incredible show. It was, you guys were with James Taylor. This might have been about 5 years ago. And
right.
yeah,
I
and
remember that.
you remember that? And you said something like, well, I don't know, it wasn't my best performance or something like that. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I understand that too. I know we all have, we feel differently about things at times, but anyway, that was perfection to me, that take.
Oh,
So,
great. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just the way you're hearing things, but obviously you get so tuned in using in-ears that if
Yeah.
something's off, it kind of makes you feel off. So it's hard to judge sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not in the audience, so anyhow.
I have to say too, on that song and just in general, Hutch, James Hutchinson, longtime bass player, your rhythm partner in Bonnie's band. God, what a just another, just a
It's a
monster.
good lock on that one. And Richard Thompson's guitar stuff on that is just great.
Yeah, beautiful. And our friend Deborah Dobkin, who is playing
Oh, yeah.
percussion on that track
Oh, yeah.
as well. And so now, so you mentioned Bonnie's vocal. When you cut that track, was it pretty much live? Was Bonnie singing
Yeah,
live?
yeah. I mean, that's what they really, you know, Don was the producer was that's basically what they were going for was a good vocal take.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, there might be a screw up on the guitar, they just fix that, whatever.
Right.
But it's pretty much like live in the studio.
I
And
it,
you
yeah.
know, she goes for it. So, I mean, you know, that vocal is probably the whole thing is just that's it, you know.
Yeah. Beautiful vocal performance.
Great
Just
singer. Yeah.
spectacular. And I was going to ask you if Deborah and you tracked that together, live.
I
So
don't
I
think
guess
I think she overdubbed on that.
okay.
You know, I can't say for sure, but I think she overdubbed percussion. Yeah, on that.
Yeah. I know it was quite a while ago, but
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful.
That
Beautiful.
would be a question for her. She'd remember, I'm sure.
Okay. All
But
right.
I don't remember the percussion being set up. No, I don't remember her being there for the track.
Yeah. Okay. I know we skipped ahead quite a bit, but we were talking about the Flames, and
Yeah.
those years, with your brothers and Blondie, led to a connection with the Beach Boys, right? If I understand the story, that
Right.
Al Jardine and Carl Wilson saw you, and
Right. I mean, basically, what had happened is we'd gotten as far as we could in South Africa, and we decided, okay, let's try our luck and go to London. And we went there and struggled and just, played in little clubs. And, we were playing in clubs like the Revolution, the Blazes was another club. And it was amazing because, we'd be playing at the Revolution and Brian Jones came in and he was having a grand old time and dancing around. And he was like offering us a record deal on the Rolling Stones label and all of this stuff. And we were going, wow, but that never really happened.
yeah.
But yeah, Al Jardine came in to this club called the Blazes and heard us playing but then came back the next night with I think with Carl Wilson and then we had a conversation and Carl was just totally flipped about the band and then it wasn't much longer before I think 3 months later we moved to Los Angeles. That was just never part of the plan, but that's how it unfolded.
And so you and Blondie left the Flames, or did they just sort of disband at that point, or?
No, my brothers,
You did.
3 brothers and Blondie, we were all moved to Los Angeles and, we lived in a big old house and we made a record for the Beach Boys label, which is Brother Records.
Right. Okay. Yep. That's right. Okay. Yeah.
And at a certain point, that got a little too wild and crazy for me. And so I actually left the band. They made a second record for Brother Records and, and I sort of ended up moving on to other things. But basically, I needed a gig because I was like out of a gig. And so I asked Carl if I could play percussion with the Beach Boys. So, and which I did. I mean, I was like playing, tambourines and congas and whatever, and then I can't remember how long I was doing that for, but at a certain point, Dennis had this accident where he put his hand through a glass window, a glass door or something. I think he was, having a wild night, and I was there, and so I just ended up playing the drums. It was like the simple answer.
Yeah.
At a certain point down the line, their manager asked if both Blondie and I would like to join the band. So we said, heck yeah, what the hell? you know.
Yeah. That was an interesting period too. You made. I'm going to play a song from that period if that's. We'll play a couple seconds of that, but.
Sure.
Yeah, and I saw the Beach Boys in '74 at the Boston Garden, but I think
I think at that point I might have been gone. I
I-
think I left at 73, I think.
okay, yeah, I think Dennis was back by then.
Okay.
I recall him being there, you know, in his left-hand lead,
Right.
the way he
Yeah.
played, and it was 50 years ago almost, but
Yeah. And I think at that point they were, you know, we'd gotten into using two drummers a lot. Because when I was with the Beach Boys, I played, you know, sometimes I played guitar, sometimes I played piano. And then, you know, there would be some other drummer, like probably Eddie.
probably Eddie, yeah, yep,
At
yep.
a certain point. Bobby Figueroa was another drummer, where we had two sets of drums.
Mhm.
I mean, Dennis, during the period I was there, Dennis hardly played. He just wanted to kind of waltz around and play a bit of piano, sing a few songs, you know, go off stage, have a drink, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point did you start playing guitar, or you know, start playing other instruments, or had you from the beginning been playing guitar and piano?
Well, yeah, from the beginning, my brothers were teaching me, you know, bass and guitar. So, I mean, we'd all, you know, we just sit around and play guitars and sing songs together, that sort of thing. And then later on, just being around other musicians, I started learning piano from them. And I'm still doing that to this day. You know, from great people like John Cleary's, you know, I'm happy to learn stuff from him. He's just
Sure.
an amazing piano player.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you play more when you're at home now off the road? You probably, I'm guessing, play more piano than drums.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I play guitar and I play piano because for me, it's not really fun playing drums by myself. I like to
Yeah.
play drums if there's other musicians playing. I'm playing along with them, you know.
Yeah.
But I
It-
mean,
it's-
I do play at home every now and then. I have to warm up before a tour, so I play along with James Brown or whatever, you know.
That's great. So you do that. So you don't actually play to maybe recordings that you've done yourself, but to just favorite
No, I'd
songs.
rather
and-
play with other people who, you know, that I look up to. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh man. So
No,
just
the thing is, I mean, on your own, I don't know if this is true for all drummers, but I mean, when I listen to my stuff, God, I wish I'd done that differently. Oh, I wish, you know, I don't know if there's actually a perfect take, you know.
yeah.
But-
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I know
Yeah.
there's that tendency to be critical of yourself and
You listen, I mean, I'm listening to the drums going, oh, you know, not just listening to the song and the record, you know. So yeah, when I'm at home by myself, I prefer to play along with James Brown. Is always fun, you know what I mean?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Clyde and Jabbo. I mean, you know, they'll put you through your paces too. Those guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The Holy Grail.
So just to jump back to the Flames, I think I have that song. I was going to play "See the Light," just a couple
yeah.
of minutes of it, and
This
then
is a record that we made for the Beach Boys label. Yeah.
great. Okay, this is called "See the Light."
Time or place or weather seems
Yeah.
Man, incredible vocals, 4-part harmonies.
Yeah, well, we
Or
all stuck together for years, so it's kind of nice.
wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
Blondie Chaplin singing on that is pretty amazing.
What yeah.
Sounds kind of Beatlish now when I listen back to it. It's kind of a mix of this and that.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a little Beatley feel, but it's beautiful, and your swing is ever present. That I'm, like that I got to know later in later
Right.
years, but it's there, way back
Oh.
then. Yeah,
Yeah, that was done in Brian Wilson's at Brian Wilson's house. He had a recording studio in his house, so we did that whole record in his house.
yeah.
And
Beautiful.
that's when Brian was pretty much at home, and would see him every now and then wandering around in his bathrobe. But yeah.
Did he produce it too, or did you guys
No,
produce
Carl Wilson was the producer.
it? Oh, Carl,
So,
yeah,
he
yeah.
worked with Carl. Yeah.
Great. And then, so at some point, so just looking at the sort of trajectory of, that was the early 70s, early mid 70s.
That was
Sure.
right at the beginning of 71, I think.
Okay.
I think we arrived right at the end of 1970.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I think I was in the Beach Boys in like 70, at the end of 71 or something like that.
Got it. Okay.
Something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd really have to go back and look and see the exact dates.
It's probably on the,
Sure, it's
in the archive
somewhere, yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. So how did it, it's a pretty fascinating thing to see you, like you were in the Rutles, movie
Oh, yeah.
and band it was in the later 70s. And
Yeah.
was there some connection? Was there a Beach Boys connection to that somehow, or was that just,
No, that was the really kind of happenstance. I mean, it was just an odd thing. And because I went with a friend of mine to Barbados, he was buying a house there. And so he said, come along. I'd never been to Barbados. So I said, sure. And then, I went down there for a week. And one day I was like sitting on the beach, like, I brought my guitar with me. So I was sitting on the beach playing the guitar. And this guy comes along, and it turns out to be Eric Idle.
I knew you were going to say that.
And he goes, hey, can I bring my guitar? We can, hang out and play together. I said, sure, So, and that's how he and I became friends. And so
That's
we
great.
sit around and sing. I mean, he knew like all the old Everly Brothers, Everly Brothers, and Elvis Presley songs, Beatles songs. So we would just sit around and sing these songs on the beach, and we just became fast friends.
And
And
was
then,
he?
I don't know, it was like 6 months later, he said, "Oh, do you want to be in this thing I'm making called the Rutles?" I go, I can't really act or, any of this stuff. So he said, "Oh, you don't have to do anything. It'll just be miming." And so I went along with it, and little did I know that, they had a drummer. So I thought I was going to be playing drums, but instead, when I turned up, I ended up playing the bass,
Mhm.
then miming the guitar, as George Harrison for the movie. It was
Right.
the whole
Yeah.
thing was odd. So I was just kind of like thrown into that. And, I had stage fright for sure. And also being around all these people, there were, I mean, all the Pythons, and,
Yeah.
Megger was around, and George Harrison, put up money for it, and he was around. So it was great, hanging around with all these people, but it was like, I was a bit starstruck, I have to say.
I don't blame you. No, you answered the question I was going to ask, which is, was it at the time when was Python still? Were they still making episodes, like that was still happening, or like you knew who Eric was when you saw him? And
Well, I mean, I've pretty much got to know Eric very quickly because, the reason he was in Barbados was that he was helping write some sketches for Paul Simon, who was also in Barbados,
ah,
for Saturday Night Live. So that's how Eric happened to be in Barbados. So that when I say it was happenstance, it was purely coincidental that he was just walking down the beach and I was sitting there playing guitar, looking at the sunset, and then Monty Python figured large in everything, and
yeah,
you know,
that's wow.
yeah.
I've always wanted to ask you about that because I wondered if maybe that you might have got bitten by the bug to maybe pursue acting from that, but maybe it was
No,
really just
not at
more of a
all.
one-off. Yeah. Okay.
It was
Okay.
total, yeah. I mean, I just kind of walked in and walked out of that. Um,
But what a fun thing to have in your in
I
your
know
resume, so to speak.
it's a very oddball thing, but I didn't have to say anything because I said to Eric, I'm not an actor, and you don't have to say anything. You'll be the silent one. So
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
perfect.
I haven't seen it in a while, Ricky. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I don't know why I thought you had some lines in it, but I'll have to go back
No, I
and watch
don't
it.
think
Yeah.
I have a single line in it. No,
That's okay though. Yeah.
no,
Safer.
it's
Yeah.
perfect for me because I mean, as I say, I mean, I played, sitar and bass and some guitar on it, and some percussion, sang on it, and then mined guitar in the actual movie of it.
Yeah.
So it
Wow.
was a lot of fun. Meeting Neil Ennis was great. Uh, I mean, he was a fantastic guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So then it by my I mean, you started playing with Bonnie in the late '70s or early '80s, like probably not long after that.
Right. I played on a record of hers called Green Light because I was living in Zuma Beach at the studio called Shangri-La Studios, which was owned by the band at that point.
Hmm.
It's where they filmed a lot of stuff for The Last Waltz. They filmed a lot of this, the interviews with the band and so on there. But anyways, it was a nice recording studio there. Made a bunch of records there with the Australian singer Renee Gayer and with Ian McLagan, and
Sure.
I can't remember who else. But anyhow, Bonnie heard the Renee Gayer record, and she flipped out for that, and she wanted to use that band, which is we call ourselves the Bump Band, which is Ian McLagan, myself, Johnny Lee Shell, and Ray O'Hara, a Japanese bass player. That was the Bump Band. And yes,
Okay.
so I met Bonnie that was 1979. We made the Green Light record then.
Wow.
But didn't really work with her until much, much later I think we recorded Nick of Time in 1988 or 87. I can't remember which. Yeah, she rang up, she found me, she rang me up. I was in New York, and she said, I finally got myself a record deal. You know, nobody wanted to sign her for years.
Yeah.
And she got herself a good record deal, and asked me if I would, you know, come out and play on it. And that was Nick of Time.
Boy, what a
and
record.
Yeah. And then, you know, a year later, she called me up. I was in Australia. She said, oh, that record won all the Grammys. That was the thing. I was woken up by a friend of mine in Australia. Hey, that chick singer, record you played on won all the Grammys, you know. Oh God, you're pulling my leg. But I was amazed to read in the newspaper about it. So I called her up. So, and she was shell-shocked.
Yeah.
Having won all those Grammys. How, you know, kudos to her.
Absolutely. I remember watching that show, that Grammy show, and you know, she was, gosh, I mean, talk about someone, you use the term pay your dues, but you know, like you said, and knowing the backstory of like her not getting a record deal, nobody wanted to sign her, then Capitol signed her, and that record just exploded. It was just such a great record, and
yeah, it was so great. I mean, great for her. Fantastic. Yeah.
Can we play a song from that record?
Sure.
What do you think?
Whatever you like.
They're all my favorites, Ricky. This is tricky. I don't want to keep you on this all day long.
I'm hanging out, man.
Okay, well, this song right here.
Stanley and Eddie and Joe still hanging out, or they fallen asleep by now?
They're still watching. They're still
We're in
watching.
bed.
By the way, I got to give a shout out to another friend of mine, Joey Goodsell, who's watching.
Oh, Joey,
good buddy of mine.
I don't think I know him, but hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, hi from both of us, Joey. He's saying "Nick of Time" is one of his favorite songs.
Okay.
I'm not actually going to play the title song, if that's all right, but I was going to play this little number. That's just, man.
Oh yeah.
Hey, shut up. Don't lie to me. You think I'm blind, but I've got eyes to see. Hey, mister, how do you do? Oh, pardon me, I thought I knew you. Would you stand up, baby, 'cause I want to get a better look. The big man who couldn't handle a little bit of love you took. Hey, hey, have a heart. Hey, have a heart. You don't love me, why don't you let me go? Have a heart, please. Oh, don't you have a heart? Little by little you fade while I fall apart. Oh, darling, I love you so. I told you yes, and then you told me no. Baby, how can you say you should be free and I should pay? And you talk about you and what you need, but sooner or later your love is gonna make me bleed. Hey, hey, have a heart. Hey, have a heart. You don't love me, why don't you
Wow, man, that song. Wow.
Great song.
Oh my God.
Who played percussion on that? Does it? I mean, I'm looking. Or
It's
tell me the track number because I was looking it up to
well, I
see.
can tell you, it's the great Paulinho da Costa.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you went.
yeah,
So
I
I.
wasn't around for any of this stuff because basically, I think, we cut the tracks and then, they did overdub stuff later.
Okay. So he wasn't. I wondered if he was in the room with
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I would have loved it if he would have been there. I
Oh,
mean,
it's just
probably,
he's. I.
would have been a slightly different beast. But no, I think they overdubbed that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Joe Vitale was talking about that on a recent show where he mentioned that when Joe Lala, the great percussionist, and him tracked together on the Crosby, Stills, and Nash stuff, that when they did it together because, like you said, it made it a special thing. It made it like a whole different vibe with them in the same room together. But
Sure. I mean,
but but
God,
that but what
Joe
Paulinho
Lala, man.
plays is just God. It's just and so those the basic the fills that are happening are you, like the China crashes and all that. That's you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, that's the
But
basic kit. But then there's like, I was hearing like conga drums on there and,
yeah, and some
and I-
timbali,
yeah,
little single strokes in the timbales and.
yeah.
But what you play, Ricky, what you play in the cross stick, the side stick part, and just the feel. Again, it's just, I mean,
I don't
I'm
really, honestly, I don't really remember that much about it. I think we, as I say, we probably listened to the demo and then we just played it a couple of times and that was kind of it.
Do you remember the demo was probably a drum machine just to give you a reference point, most likely, or maybe,
Well,
or
I'm not exactly sure what the demo was. If they, uh, yeah, I don't remember,
don't
honestly. I
remember. Yeah.
just don't remember.
Do you? I mean, I know.
At a certain point, I guess I could ask Bonnie, I'd like to hear the demo again. I want to
Yeah.
change my part.
Well, you can. I'll wait while you ask her. No, I'm kidding. Um, no, but I know. Don is he's such a great producer, and I wondered if maybe there was any influence from him or on his part to have you do certain things or try certain things.
Not really. Don was very hands off. I mean, he'd just go, that's the take,
Yeah, yeah,
that sort of thing. Or, he wasn't heavy handed at all like that as a
yeah, yeah.
producer. I
Do you
mean,
remember? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I guess if when we were running through the song, he might say, "Oh, maybe it's a little slower, or it should be a little faster, or whatever, something like that." But it was never really that. It was just more about capturing a great vocal performance, of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
song.
Boy,
And
did you ever. I mean, and again, Bonnie just, her, just such an incredible singer, just an incredible singer. And I was going to ask you, I think I know the answer, wasn't done to a click track. It was just done.
I don't think any of that was done. I mean, click tracks really didn't figure into any of it. Uh, and I mean, they still don't. I think there've been a couple of records where we cut a couple of songs to a click track, and then, whenever we did them live, it just felt odd.
Hmm.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
to this day, we still don't use a click track. I mean, I use a metronome to look at where the tempo is. And, if we decide, oh, it should be a little bit faster, just bump up the metronome, look at the metronome. But
Mhm.
it's not exactly to a click, no.
Yeah. Well, honestly, with your time, the band doesn't need a click track. I mean, that's the beauty of it is you can, you have incredible time but it still breathes and has that organic, natural feel to
Yeah.
it.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think you can do that with a click, but I mean, to me, it certainly helps when everyone's listening to the click. I really don't like it when I'm the guy listening to the click and nobody else is. It's
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
it's difficult.
I understand. Yeah. Do you remember this is what we're doing is sort of a hybrid. I do this other show called Track Talk where we really get into specific songs, but we're kind of meshing the two together today.
Fun.
And Yeah, this is great. I really appreciate this. And do you remember what the snare drum was on that? I think you told me a long time ago, but
No, because
yeah,
that was the thing. I mean, I was like, they were, I can't remember who was doing the drums, if it was Ross Garfield or somebody else. Basically, it was a rent-a-kit, and there
yeah.
was a bunch of choices of different snare drums and cymbals and stuff. I don't really remember exactly which drum was which or what.
Hmm.
It was my own kit. I
I
mean,
got
I
you.
didn't really have a kit because I wasn't, I was basically wandering around between New York and Australia, and I had drums and stuff in Australia, so I wasn't really moved out of Australia. I didn't have anything over here.
Hmm.
So we had great drums from, as I say, probably from drum doctors.
From
And
Ross, yeah.
trying
He
to
loves
remember, I can't remember the other guy's name now who used to supply drums around there.
uh, probably Drum Paradise. Was it maybe
Maybe
Jeff Jonas, Harry McCarthy?
it wasn't Terry McCarthy. I know Terry's in Nashville,
Yeah.
but maybe it was Drum Paradise. I can't remember the guy's name. He had a nickname. Maybe it was Jimbo. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell? It's so long ago. Come
It
on.
could be. I know, 35 years. And I know Ross loves Black Beauties, Ludwig Black Beauties, but I mean, it could be any kind of snare drum. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could be
No,
anything, but
my preference is definitely for wooden drums, wooden
hmm.
snare drums. So I would have probably opted for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't that really at that point I wasn't into metal snare drums so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Such a beautiful track, man. It's just,
Yeah.
I could go on and on about that, and I won't right now, but I hope everybody, if they hadn't heard that song before, go back and listen to it, because to me, it's a lesson in how to play for the song. Again, we have to talk about Hutch for a second. I mean, his bass playing on that song is just otherworldly. He's
Yeah, it's
just,
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of, I don't know. To me, it seems pretty simple, but it's all about the singer. I mean, that song is really well written, and it just, has a great form. And Bonnie's performance is out of this world.
yeah, yeah,
So how nice to just be sitting there, just playing simply behind a great singer like that,
yeah. No,
Instead,
that's a beautiful answer, but it's so humble because, I'm going to ask Santa Claus this year for Christmas to have a feel like you. It's the only thing I want from Santa Claus this year.
okay, well, we should play together sometime. I'll come and
Well,
visit your drum room.
you have to, because you might be. Now, I saw they've already advertised a date for you guys next summer at Cape Cod. And
Okay, yeah.
there's a sister venue literally a half mile from my house here in Cohasset called the Melody Tent.
Oh, yeah,
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's called the Music Circus. The one here is the
I
Music
see.
Circus. Yeah, the Melody Tent is Cape
Oh,
Cod. Sorry.
the other place is also a tent.
Yes, and
Wow.
around. Yep.
Yeah, wow. It's always
So
amazing to play at these places somehow. You play with your eyes closed and you open up and the audience is totally different. It's like, whoa, what happened?
yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah,
looking at that guy a second ago. Yeah.
yeah. It was actually that girl. What happened to that girl?
She'll be back. Well, Ricky, I won't keep you too much longer. I mentioned playing a Beach Boy song, and maybe we'll just close out with "Sail on Sailor." A great tune that you played on you and
Okay.
Blondie during that Beach Boys period from the
All right.
Holland record. Yeah, and yeah, okay. I told you this would be relatively painless.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, I just sort of I just haven't done interviews in forever. And I didn't do that much Zooming during the pandemic. So I just didn't know how this stuff works. So, but
well,
it is painless. It's with
it is.
you, man.
Uh, thank you. I so appreciate it.
That makes a big difference. We're all mates.
We sure are. And yeah,
So this is Sail on Sailor, huh?
this is Sail on Sailor from, I think, 72, 3, 2.
somewhere in there. It
Somewhere in there.
was, we'd already recorded the album Holland in Holland, and then there wasn't a single. So this was cut because the record company was saying we need something that sounds more like a single. And so we went into Village Recorder and cut this. And I think it's another one of those where it was just maybe like the first take or something.
Great
Nailed,
track.
nailed it. Yeah.
And you're singing backup as well on this. You're singing.
I don't think I sang on this one. No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I do remember I did not sing on it because Brian actually came down. So I'm not sure who all was there, but I think Jerry Beckley from America was in it, and Billy Hinchy sadly passed on, and Carl, and I think I'm not sure who else. But it was really nice to see Brian in the studio arranging the background vocals.
Yeah.
Man, he's a master,
Sure is. Yeah. Well, here it comes. Sail on
Okay.
Sailor, Beach Boys.
I sail an ocean, unsettled ocean, through restful waters and deep commotion, often frightened, unenlightened. Sail on, sailor. I rest the waters, fight Neptune's waters, sail through the sorrow of life's marauders, unrepenting, often empty. Sail on, sailor. Caught like a sewer rat, alone but I sail. Bought like the crust of bread, but oh, do I wail. Seldom stumble, never crumble, try to tumble, minds rumble. Feel the stinging I've been given, never ending, unrelenting. Heartbreak searing, always fearing, never clearing, persevering. Sail on, sailor. I work the seaways, the gale-swept seaways, past shipwrecked daughters of wicked waters, uninspired, drenched and tired. Rail on, sailor. Always needing, even bleeding, never feeding all my feelings. Damn the thunder, must I blunder? There's no wonder, all I'm under. Stop the crying and the lying and the sighing and my dying. Sail on, sailor. Sail on, sailor. Sail on, sailor. Sail on,
Pretty simple track. I mean, I think, a lot of that stuff, it was just cut with this, like, I think Carl played piano, Blondie played bass, and I played drums. So it was like really simple, and then everything got stacked on.
Yeah.
But when I hear the drums now, it's a pretty damn simple part, but
That's
it
a-
grooves.
Grooves like crazy. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful part. And I've been listening to it a lot. My band we're talking about playing this song, and
Yeah.
I don't know if this was even you thought about this or if anywhere near intentional, but you start the song playing almost like just like eighth notes, and then it builds to 16th notes. And
Oh God, I didn't hear that.
in
I
the
was,
very beginning, the first bit where you come in and it's got that, that bluesy influence kind of vibe to it, and you start with a little dun, 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 and then you come, it's
oh,
like
then
it's yeah,
that
and
sort of
it
stuff.
really lifts it. It's just it's
I'll have
great
to go
feeling.
back and check it out because, yeah, I mean, when I'm just listening to it now over the speakers, I'm thinking, my God, it's a really, straight ahead, simple thing. But I didn't really hear any of the dancing hi-hat stuff.
Yeah, but and we both know that's what makes a great record is just, you're supporting the singer. You like you've been talking about Bonnie, just like supporting the vocal and the melody of the song. So
Yeah,
it's beautiful. So
yeah.
yeah, and Blondie sounds amazing on it too, man. What a voice.
Yeah, I think Carl sort of, I think Carl was going to be singing it, but then he said, Blondie, you should sing it.
Yeah.
That's how things were back in the day. It was just like, okay, you have a go. It was very loose and casual. So,
That's great. And
but it
before I
turned
let you
out
go,
great.
sorry, I was just going to say I know there was a reunion. I got in touch with you a couple of years ago. I happened to see on, I don't know what channel it was, but there was like a 50th reunion of that band, and you guys did like a concert.
Um,
Um, or
I wasn't part of that. I mean, I was asked to play at something with Brian.
well, you played Sail on Sailor on the show that I saw. And
Okay, well, that was with Brian's band.
okay,
It was Brian. You know, I mean, there's like different configurations of the Beach Boys now, but this was Brian's thing with the band, the Wondermints,
okay.
and they basically, filmed some show. I'm not sure that it was commemorating anything, but yeah, I went in and played on a couple of songs, including that one, and I think the song "Darling." I can't remember what else, but yeah, it was fun to be in it for you know a minute.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was. I remember it very well because I was sick as a dog. I
that's what I
went
remember.
to
Yeah.
Las Vegas and I had a terrible flu come on out of nowhere. I guess all the air conditioning or something. But anyhow, I kind of got through the gig and there it was. But it was great. It was great to see Brian. I mean, what an incredible story. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that he, be the one still out there playing music for audiences. It's an
Yeah.
amazing story.
Sure is. It sure is. Well, that's what I remembered you telling me about that was that you had a terrible temperature flu and
Yeah,
you'd never know it by the performance. It was perfect, just yeah,
thanks.
as usual. Uh, Ricky, thank you so much for being here today. It's such an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah, and say hi to the guys that are still awake.
They are. They're still there. I absolutely will. Well, stay with me for 1 second. We'll end the show. I want to
Okay.
thank you for being here. Big hand for my friend Ricky Fataar. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you soon. All right. Well, that's my show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. And the podcast is available on all the podcast platforms, so download it. And remember, no drummers are ever harmed on Live from My Drum Room or Track Talk. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. All right. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again real soon. See ya.